Kevin is an institutional visionary. He has built Lambda Legal into a powerful organization.
I think he's really an inspiration for the civil rights movement.
One of the things that I respect the most about him is that he has a broad commitment to social justice.
He's grown the budget incredibly and really built the organization into, I'd say, the premier powerhouse force for equal rights for lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, transgender people, and people living with HIV in the United States.
I am here with Kevin Cathcart, as you can see. And Kevin has been an activist for a lot of years, and but what we're really going to talk about tonight is his 15 years here at Lambda Legal.
When Kevin took over at Lambda in '92, we were in a terrible state. The U.S. Supreme Court had essentially shut the doors of the federal courts to us in Bowers against Hardwick in 1986, and the right was moving to basically shut all the state legislatures.
The epidemic was out of control. We were losing friends and colleagues, and people just were dying all the time, getting sick and disappearing, and it was a terrifying time.
You know, Kevin was personally affected in terms of many friends and people he's known who've died from HIV, and has insisted that we continue to think about the impact of the HIV epidemic on the gay community.
In 1993, we had the case of Kammermeyer versus the U.S. Army. People came around and said, this isn't fair. It's not fair that somebody like that should not be able to serve her country, and that the armed forces should lose the service of somebody like Margaret Kammermeyer.
If we keep pushing, these policies are going to go.
In 1994, Lambda had one of its first big successes in the Supreme Court.
And it was an incredible victory for us as a community, and it was a case that was litigated by Lambda Legal and the ACLU. It changed the world for all of us.
Yesterday, a federal jury found 3 school principals liable for failing to defend Jamie against gay bashing.
We've done cases around violence in schools. You can be sued if you don't protect kids when they're at your school.
What do we want? State schools! When do we want it? Now!
In Hawaii, people are being forced to rethink the very meaning of marriage by people to whom the institution has always been denied, homosexuals.
The Hawaii marriage case really opened up something that has become a huge piece of work for Lambda Legal and for our entire movement.
Well, the Boy Scouts of America took it on the chin yesterday in a fiery, precedent-setting ruling.
I was in the program for 12 years, and I earned a lot of the highest ranks that one can earn, like Eagle Scout, and I was an assistant scoutmaster. And I never found any policies or standards that mentioned that you couldn't be gay and be in scouting.
We had a unanimous victory at the New Jersey State Supreme Court. It was just amazing. And the Boy Scouts appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and then we lost. But even though we lost at the U.S. Supreme Court, I think the Boy Scouts also lost big, because in the process of defending their position, they had to stop saying we're an organization for all boys and start admitting, well, we're actually here for some boys, the ones that we approve of. You have to allow gay students and their friends to form gay-straight alliances. It's important because it shapes everybody in the school's notion of what is ordinary and what is everyday. We now routinely say the LGBT movement. Well, it wasn't an LGBT movement when I started in the 70s. It wasn't really an LGBT movement when we met in the late 80s. It has become a broader and broader movement over the years, and that's an amazing thing. 19 years ago, not only could we not imagine, say, the marriage movement the way that it is today, but we couldn't imagine the baby boom and the number of lesbians and gay men who are raising children, who have done second parent adoptions or joint adoptions, who are still fighting for those adoptions.
And it's Lambda's sort of dogged pursuit of family law and child custody that is really embodied in Kevin Cathcart.
Lawrence and Garner were arrested and fined in 1998 when police found them having sex in their home.
People were going to jail under these laws. That's the important thing that we sometimes can forget. You know, John Lawrence and Tyrone Garner were arrested and taken to jail for having consensual, private, adult sex.
We needed a decision saying, and LGBT people are entitled to basic respect. They have the same basic constitutional rights that everyone else does. And Lawrence against Texas is the decision that did it.
Kevin's leadership as it relates to Lawrence was about making sure that we had the funding, we were able to pursue it and do it in a strategic way that ensured a victory consistent with how the civil rights community always wants to do litigation.
Cirque du Soleil takes our money and uses it to discriminate.
These protesters are talking about Matt Cusick, who was fired by Cirque du Soleil because he's HIV positive.
Cirque du Soleil, another really important case that highlighted to the private sector that gets so much support from our LGBT community that they cannot discriminate against people who are HIV positive.
Look what Kevin Cathcart of Lambda Legal said. He said, "We won't stop until we have same-sex marriage nationwide."
15 years ago, if someone said, oh, I know, let's get a state legislature to pass a marriage bill. Oh, there's a good idea. You have too much free time. You know, it would not have made any sense. No one would have believed it possible.
I think Kevin Cathcart is one of the great unsung heroes of the LGBT movement.
He's incredibly passionate about his work, and I just admire his tenacity in the way that he has built not only Lambda as an organization, but has helped the broader movement.
Hiring Kevin to be the executive director of Lambda Legal was the best vote I ever cast.
My hope for the movement is that we continue to get more people involved in the work, we get people giving more money, putting more time in, enabling us to do all of the things that I know that it's possible for us to do.
You know, one of the things we don't talk enough about is it's really sexy to be part of history. Kevin, you've been doing this work for 15 years. Promise me that you'll do it a little bit longer?
That I can promise.